You're listening to the Super Expander podcast. Aligned goals are pivotal for expansion. You don't need me to tell you that. But what happens when your flame weakens? What really happens when it totally goes out? Reignite your goals starts with awakening to the emotions that pull you further and further away. Letting go of your shame, denial, and frustration, and figuring out why your body is resisting your goals are the key to success. Regulate your nervous system, release the blocks, and reassess your path forward because your goals are ready to be reset and reignited. Hello, Super Expanders. Welcome back. How are you feeling? How's your heart? How's your soul? I am just ready to dive in deep with you guys today. So many, I feel like, shifts and deep changes have been happening around here, and I'm excited to explore them and share them with you. So you might have heard on one of these episodes recently, or maybe follow along on social media. I just recently had this very deep, impactful experience with vertigo. I was like completely taken out of commission for over 2 weeks where I couldn't do any work. I was pretty much in bed for 2 weeks. I couldn't drive, could barely walk. And as I'm sort of coming back and I'm getting caught up, what I'm observing and noticing is that there's a lot of things that shifted and changed. I don't know, you noticed, if you've ever noticed that before, like when you take some time off and then all of a sudden there's like these new things that are like, wow, I never noticed that before. Oh, wow, that big idea or that big connection, or like, why was I not grasping that before? And I think the kind of like what I'm getting at here is this understanding of, whenever I've experienced an injury, like a bad injury or a deep sickness or something that has happened, like a big trauma in my life, I always feel like I ask these questions of like, what am I meant to be getting from this? What am I supposed to be learning? Why is this happening for me? And I feel like this experience, it was multiple things I think going on. I actually think that a piece of the depth of what I experienced was in part because of the trauma experience just recently when I lost my dog. I think it was a piece of processing like that I was hanging on to, and I needed to kind of just go into a cocoon to heal. But I also feel like there was some other deeper lessons there in the go. I talk a lot about nervous system regulation, about resting, about burnout, because I've been through burnout multiple times. And it was I think a knock on my door, a tap on my shoulder, or maybe it was a 2x4 on my back, I'm not sure, of me not actually walking the walk in terms of how much I was pushing myself. And I really needed to take a step back and actually just rest and let my body just rest and relax and heal. And a lot of things that happened inside of that was just my mind got a break and a rest, and many, many different things have been just coming into my scope of awareness and just a deeper understanding of there really is nothing more important than your own health and well-being and your physiology, and how it does not matter what we are pursuing, whether it's big goals in business, whether it's a deeper connection in relationship, more money in our bank account. Really, the path and the foundational piece is this piece of our physiology, right? Like in our body. And it's where that nervous system regulation actually starts to come in. So what I wanted to talk to you about really is, what is nervous system regulation? Why should you care about it? Kind of like make some sense of it for you, and how it really actually is first level strategy to get to the place that you want to in life and in business. So to understand nervous system regulation, we really or to understand how to regulate your nervous system, we have to understand how the nervous system works. So there are 3 parts to your nervous system. You have the autonomic part, we have the sympathetic part, and then we have the parasympathetic part. The autonomic part of your nervous system is the part of it's basically your central nervous system. It's the body's unconscious control center. So this consists of all of the interconnected branches of both the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system, which actually regulate homeostasis in our body. So that's like regarding both your psychological and your physiological state. That is, when they're both in harmony, we are in homeostasis, right? So they work together to maintain balance in our body. The sympathetic nervous system, this is the part of our nervous system that when we are faced with stressful situations, that your body is actually equipped to help us survive with these, right? These ordeals. Our sympathetic nervous system kicks in and activates this fight or flight response. So stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline surge when we are in a sympathetic state. Our heart rate tends to raise, breathing speeds up, blood pressure levels rise, and all of this is in order to escape confrontation, to survive. It's really the part of your body that activates. It's that, to keep the human race alive, right? This is kind of the piece that makes us humans, right? And then we have this parasympathetic nervous system part. And the parasympathetic nervous system is responsible for relaxation and recovery. So after the sympathetic activates to get away from the perceived danger, the bear, the lion that's chasing you, in real life now today, that's probably not the case, but a perceived confrontation could just be like a confrontation with a partner or a client or a boss or something like that. That's a threat. So the parasympathetic nervous system comes back in to help regulate and bring us back down. And that part of our system is activated when we engage in activities like meditation, yoga, breath work. And it's where digestion and tissue repair and our immune response actually take place. So you can see that this part of our body, this nervous system, is really, really important in terms of managing stress, being able to show up and execute when we need to be able to execute, because really all stress isn't bad, right? There's certain types of stress called eustress, which is good stress. We need stress in our life, but we also need to be able to respond and regulate our bodies in the face of stress. And that's where nervous system regulation actually comes in. So nervous system regulation at its core is the ability to move flexibly between these different states of arousal in response to stress. It means that when we encounter different shifts and changes in our environment, like stress, that we can adapt and we're not overwhelmed. In the face of regulation, that we can completely recover after a stressor has been removed. So our ability to be flexible and adapt to circumstances actually gives us agency as human beings, right? It gives us power. It makes us feel confident and it makes us feel secure because we can understand and navigate the world in the way that we choose. And when our nervous system is regulated, we have that power. We have that ability to do so. When our nervous system is regulated, we are able to foster a sense of safety in our body. So on the opposite end of the spectrum there, on the contrary, when our nervous system is dysregulated, we become overwhelmed. And this translates into feelings of powerlessness. We feel stuck. We feel like we have no control on how we respond. This is where triggers come into place, right? When we become triggered and we overreact in situations, or we remain stuck in that response, even when the trigger is actually removed, is what happens in a dysregulated. So let me give you an example here. So imagine you are at home and you have an interaction with your partner. You guys get into a fight, right? You get into a big fight, and then you go out and you're like, I'm just going to get out of the house and I'm going to go for a drive. And you go for a drive, and then you experience someone cutting you off and you fly off of the handle. and you experience road rage, maybe you like give the person the finger or yelling out the window at them, whatever it happens to be. That is an example of being stuck in that state of dysregulation. You left the house, you were angry, and you weren't able to get yourself into a place of regulation when you went out and into the world. I have a question for you. Have you joined the Super Expander free mentorship community? If not, what are you waiting for? Stop what you're doing right now and text the word mentor to 202-918-3235. Text the word mentor to 202-918-3235. I send out weekly tips and inspiration to help you grow your business, to step into your wealthiest, most highest self, to harness your full potential and live an exceptional and extraordinary life. And the best part is, it's really me sending those messages. So text me, say hello, and send me your questions. So connecting some dots here, you can see how nervous system regulation is really actually not only integral to your own health, your own well-being, but also success in navigating interactions in society, whether that's just like in social interactions, whether that's actually in work, with your colleagues, with your coworkers, with your family, with your clients. It's a really, really, really important piece. And you can actually now start to have some understanding and compassion when you see people, and you'll be able to start to spot that someone is dysregulated. So when we are chronically dysregulated from various things like trauma and from overworking and not processing, you can see that there's a lot of things that might arise from that. Things like burnout, illness, chronic pain, they all stem from overwhelmed nervous systems. And so now we have kind of this baseline level of understanding of your nervous system, the three parts, what it does, and why it's important. Now, what's really the next phase is understanding that there are actually 4 pillars of nervous system regulation. It's not just a one and done, and it's also not a destination at which we arrive at. It's truly a way of being, a lifestyle. There's tools and things that we can use in order to essentially try and keep regulation, very much like we eat healthy to maintain healthy bodies. We work out to maintain healthy muscles and bones and all of the things. Nervous system regulation is actually something just like that. There's things that we can do in order to flex our nervous system regulation muscles. So the nervous system, like I said, it's the foundational piece of this lived experience. It's our connection with our body, our mind. It regulates our emotions, our mental state, our immune system, and every other system in our body. So it is truly the foundation for life success, for business success, all of the things, for health success. Your nervous system, it connects us essentially to the environment around us. So I like to kind of think of it as a bridge between our physical being and the external world. It truly allows us to relate to other human beings, and it really is a piece of us being able to tap into that spirituality inside of ourselves. This interconnectedness means that when we experience things like anxiety, burnout, trauma, all of those things, that we need to address these things on a deeper level. And there's 4 pillars, and the sequence actually matters too, right? So the 4 pillars that our nervous system are actually built upon is our body, our mind, connection, and spirituality. So the body, meaning that it's all the biological components that influence regulation from our health. Genetics fall into this, of course, cellular level, and organ systems. So moving your body, that's part of this pillar, moving your body, making sure that we're eating well, drinking, staying hydrated, all of those things. Then we have our mind. thoughts, emotions, coping strategies, internal working models, how we actually view ourselves. This is where mindset work comes in. Things like hypnosis, reframing, subconscious reprogramming are all support tools for this mind pillar. And then there's connection. How we relate to other human beings in the context of close relationships and within our community and society at large. So really working to foster connection and deeper relationships through being parts of communities by doing the work to maintain, grow, and expand our personal relationships. And then this other pillar of spirituality, where it's really our purpose. It's what are we working towards that's outside of ourselves, something larger than ourselves? What are we connected to? What do we believe in? What is that intrinsic driver of something that is outside of us and bigger? So I think the big benefit of being able to see that there's these 4 pillars, it's at the deeper this understanding starts to come into play, is that we start to see the symptoms that show up in dysregulation truly as symptoms of something deeper that we get to work on inside of these components to really improve our human experience, to achieve deeper, long-lasting healing on a personal level. So in my opinion, I think that when we start looking at this piece as a foundational piece, it's a game changer and a shift in a paradigm in how we can start to look at modern medicine. I think it's a shift that we can start to look at in terms of growing our businesses and deepening our relationships. It's kind of this missing link, I think, in so many facets of how we operate, and seeing it. And the more we are equipped with this knowledge, we become so much more empowered to create depth and shift and change. So that is your mini lesson today on what nervous system regulation is. I hope that my nerding out here on the science, that you enjoyed it, and that it kind of started to open your mind and connect some dots for you. So what I'd really love to hear from you is, what sort of aha moments, what sort of big takeaways have you had inside of this episode? Take a minute, reach out, shoot me a message on Instagram and let me know. Like a fire needs oxygen and fuel, you're not meant to reach your goals alone. Your missing part could be as simple as finding the right community. And if it's not my community, there's definitely the right one out there for you. If you're looking for a place to start, check out the link in the show notes and let this community help you breathe in fresh oxygen.